good morning. I am setting up my new video studio space. I took my office where I've done my videos in the past and just gave it a little bit of a redecorating scheme. I was really inspired by all of the beautiful set decorations I saw at the Knit Show last week in Austin, Texas, and just wanted to give my space a remodel. Not that I wanted to spend a whole lot of money or anything, but just wanted to look at it in a different way. So I've set up two spaces for video, and I'm only going to show you one of them today, but I'll show you the other side when I'm working on that side. So basically I'm going to have a stand-up table for doing a front shot of talking about projects, then an overhead shot for showing how to do different types of craft projects, because depending on what you're doing, sometimes you need both of those shots. And then I have this space where I can be sitting and talking to you about anything, or showing you how to style something or use something, or maybe even different ways of showing you how to do larger crafting projects that can't fit onto a tabletop. So it's this space that I'm going to be decorating this morning. And so basically, you know the room divider. I've had that for a really long time, and that room divider is decorated with all of my quilting fabric prints, as well as different squares being knitted and crocheted in various yarns that I make. And then, what else? Oh, you've seen these before, the crochet candle holder covers. That's in this space. What else is the same? Oh, I've got this shelving unit here that's going to have yarn on display. It's not completely done yet either, but the new piece is the chase. And I don't know if you recall, I had a raspberry velvet chair in here before, and I fell in love with it at the store. On the back side of the chair, it has this beautiful tufting texture, and it has these beautiful metal studs on it. And then I brought it into my studio space and realized it was pretty from the back side, and once I sit in it, you can't see it. It's kind of like a dining room chair. It's not meant to be bigger than you, so when you sit in it, it became invisible. So I knew I needed a piece of furniture that was larger than that so that you could actually see it, and I thought the curves of a chase would be so interesting in here. And so I went thrifting and looked at all my local thrift stores over the weekend and found this piece at a bargain. Threw it in the back of my SUV, got it home, carried it up the stairs, and as I went to clean it up, and then as I went to bring it into my office, it didn't fit through the door frame. And thought, okay, flipped it on the stairs, because my office is right in front of the stairs. So flipped it, tried to get it back in the door through a different direction, still wasn't going. Realized it was the legs. There's 6-inch legs on the chase, and realized that they were going to need to be unscrewed. So I go to unscrew the legs, and all of the screws have been stripped. I mean stripped worse than anything I've ever seen stripped. So you can barely even see the grooves where the screw holes used to be. Now they're just gigantic holes. So I realized I wasn't going to be able to unscrew it either. Now we're talking hours into the project at this point. So I brought out my good old-fashioned handsaw and cut the back legs off of the chase, which I have to tell you, if that doesn't look like a gigantic, miserable job, it was. And then was able to get it through the door, and at that point needed something to prop up the back, so I used giant cans of tomato, which looks like it's about this high, but I forgot I had to cut this down after the screw portion of the leg is still on the back of the couch. So really there's 6-inch legs. So then the next day went to Home Depot, because this is, at that point it was hours into it, and at that point went to Home Depot, got some giant logs, had them cut down to size. So now the back of the couch has logs underneath it for legs on the front, and it's super stable. But what a fun and crazy project that turned out to be. And so as I was thinking about ways to decorate the back wall, oh, and you can see I got some pillows to go with it. as I was thinking about ways to display on the back wall, I stumbled on this type of a collage frame. And it's a piece of wood on the top with string hanging down. And what comes in the box is this little bag of miniature clothesline pins, and it's for hanging photos on it. And I thought that this might be a really fun way to display a selection of my body of work. And I knew that hanging all of my books for the book covers would take up a lot of space and be a lot of shelving. Then I thought, well, then there's the magazine covers, then there's other types of projects that I'm proud of, and I saw this framework and it held 30 photos in a 4x6 size. So I took the images from all of my book covers, my magazine covers, and some assorted favorite projects that I've designed, and turned them into 4x6 prints that you can print at the store. So I uploaded these to my local print store and had them made into 4x6s. Some of them fit the 4x6 perfectly. Some of them did not. Like, for example, the Finer Edge book was actually a more square book, so it didn't perfectly fit in 4x6. So I'm going to cut this one down, and I guess no time like the present to start one. So I'm just going to cut the edges. And I'm not sure if they're going to need to be put on foam board or anything like that to let them sit nicely. So I'm going to try it regular with just pinning them up there. So I'm going to take the photo and the clothespin and see what we can do. Now, once they're all up there, you're supposed to tape this block down at the bottom too, and that'll keep them in place. I have a feeling we're not going to need to put them on foam board. I think it's going to be fine. So I thought today what might be fun is to go over all of them with you and tell you maybe some little story or two from some of these different photos. So for example, the Finer Edge is a book, let's see, it might have been my 4th or 5th book that I wrote, and it was an idea that came about by an episode of Knitting Daily. I was on location at the studio in Ohio and talking to one of the producers about some segments that I was doing on the show, and I was doing a whole series of videos for that season on crochet edging. And she goes, wow, you really know a lot about this and you're doing so much, but she goes, have you ever written a book on it? And I said, well, no, I haven't. And we both looked at each other and went, well, why don't you? And so it was shortly after that trip that I went home and wrote a proposal and sent it to her and the other editors at the magazine, at Interweave, which Interweave at that point owned Knitting Daily TV as well. And that's how the beginning of Finer Edge came about, from a conversation in a green room at the studio. So I've got these organized by magazine covers, book covers, and different yarn projects. So I wanted to make sure that projects in all of my yarns were represented too. Like, for example, this is a poncho that I designed last year in Be So Brave yarn. So I wanted to have all of my yarns represented if possible, all of the magazine covers, and all of the book covers. So we'll start here. And once I get them all up, I will probably readjust them. I want them to go up randomly. I don't want books to be all in one section, magazines in one section, and like that. I want to try to keep them as randomly assorted as possible, which as a math geek designer head, that's almost impossible. There is no such thing as random for me. Okay, so here is the cover of Crochet Today magazine, and I had done this hat, scarf, and wristlets. This was several years ago, and got the notice that my projects made the cover from a friend who saw it in the store. Sometimes I don't even get a notification if something's made a cover. Sometimes it just magically shows up, which is awesome. There's no need to, it'd be fun to know ahead of time, but you know, the magic is in the surprise, right? So it doesn't really matter. Okay, so we'll try this one here. I might end up adjusting them for color too. Don't want too much blue or too much red or whatever in different places. Okay, this one is a knit shawl that I did with Be So Fine yarn, which is my 100% bamboo fingering weight yarn. And for the most part, I try to keep those projects to one ball because it comes with a whopping 650 yards per ball. And so this was a knitted one ball project. So pretty. Love this one. Okay, we'll try this one up here. Like that. This is the cover of Crochet So Fine, probably my most popular book title of all time. It was the second book that I wrote. And it is garments and shawls and different accessories that are all done crocheted with very fine yarns. Hello, Marcia and Kim. Thank you for joining me this morning. So this is Crochet So Fine. Believe it was published in 2008, still in print, still a book that I get questions about and compliments on all the time. In fact, at Knitting Group last night, one of the new ladies last night, we had 3 newcomers, brought in her copy of this yarn, or of this book for me to autograph last night. Nice surprise. Okay, so we will put this, all right, try here. Oh, this is a cool project. This is a bikini that I designed in Be So Sporty yarn. It takes one ball of Be So Sporty, 325 yards, to make a bikini, the top and bottom. And I met a group, I met some photographers in Naples a couple years ago who like to trade and barter for different types of work. And so they wanted crochet bikinis as props for their fashion photo shoots, and they said in exchange for me loaning the bikinis to them for their photo shoots, I could use the photos to promote my yarn. And I thought, fabulous, because doesn't she look absolutely stunning in that bikini? I love this photo so much. Would like to put this up here. This is one of the photos I may end up cutting down because I'm not sure if that shape is going to look great up there. But for the moment, I will put it here. Whoops. Oh, I knew I was going to do that. Get that one later. Try this one here. Okay. All right. I'm going to spread them out a little bit. Oh, this is the cover of a book that I designed for Bijou Basin Ranch, which is a yarn company out in Colorado. And it was a book that we collaborated on. I used all of their yarns, and they used all of my designs. And we actually traveled together to several shows to promote it. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of crazy times and stories. We went to the Southern Women's Show in Charlotte, North Carolina, and met some wacky, wacky people there. I've had some of my most amazing meals have been with the owners of this restaurant, owners of this yarn company. Really sweet people, and this was called the Compliments Collection. Put this one up there. See, now this is dark and that one is dark, so I'm not going to put them together. I am not sure if this book is still in print. It was half knit and half crocheted, which is one of my few titles that was a combination of both. And let's see, what's light? Okay, this one's light, so we'll put a dark next to a light. Oh, I think this was my first magazine cover. Probably 2008, 2009. It was Interweave Crochet magazine, and this was a sweater that was made in Tunisian crochet in the body, and then seamless motifs along the yoke. Can't tell in this photo, but the yoke has 3 different colors in it, with the center creamy white in each of the motifs to tie in with the Tunisian crochet body. That was a fun project and a fun phone call to find out it was my first cover. First magazine cover. I guess book covers were always covers. Oh, let's see. Okay, we're going yarn, magazine, book, yarn. Okay, that's not too, nothing is the same category touching. Hi Margaret, hi Christy, thank you for joining me. This is one of the pieces from the first photo shoot of Be So Fine yarn. This is a 1-ball project. It's a beautiful cape that looks pretty on anybody. 1-ball project in Be So Fine yarn in colorway Caribbean turquoise. And my son Marlon did all the photos, and we shot them all down at Barefoot Beach, which is our closest beach to home. This is the cover of a book that I did with Taki Stacy Charles. It was called Superior Crochet, and all of the projects in this book were done in their super light cashmere and silk fluffy yarn that's lace weight. Really beautiful photography. Loved this book. Okay, so this is kind of, let's see, I think we'll try here. Probably end up having to move them around, but so far so good. Okay, let's find something bright. This is the cover of Knit 123 magazine. I was doing work for this magazine when my friend Kim was the editor. And you know, never do expect a cover. You know, for all the pieces that go into a magazine, I never really sit there and say, oh, hope this one makes the cover. Not that I don't always, but was super surprised that they picked it and really loved this piece. If I had gotten to keep this piece, I would totally have worn it. It had a beautiful keyhole neckline, the cold shoulder sleeve, which I love, and it had some side vents and a really pretty knit lace pattern to it. Really like that piece. Okay, that looks good there. Oh, and then here's 2 books that were a lot of fun to make. Let me see if I can find the other one. These are, I taught myself to knit and crochet American Doll clothes. I had gotten the call that a friend of mine who's the editor was interested in them, and she even sent me an American Doll to take a look at and see if it's something I wanted to do. And I really just came at this project with my same design sensibility and just tried to miniaturize my type of design. So we did vignettes, so each one was called a certain theme. And so we had movie night, red carpet night, sleepover, so I had this vision of each of the whole ensemble. So like, for example, this was movie night for the knit one, and so I got to make a hat with a flower, a poncho, a purse, and leg warmers. How cute is that? My favorite one was not pictured on the cover, and that was the, I can't remember if it was called Beach Bunny, I think is what it was called. And she wore a bathing suit, so I crocheted a bathing suit, a floppy hat, and a blanket. It was so stinking cute. So those were really fun to make, and just good memories, because it was a time when I had to really think outside the box and come at this totally differently, because the way you style for that size is a lot different than styling for an adult. Then this, I made one exception to this collage, and I decided to add one cover that is not knitting or crochet related. And it is one of the very few modeling pictures that I still have from my teenage modeling career. And this was when I made the cover of the wedding magazine from the Detroit News paper. I think it was called the Free Press. And I was 15 years old and was chosen as the cover for their bridal magazine. It was when the movie Princess Bride came out, and that's even what it says at the top. So cute. So anyway, I wanted to represent this one up here too, because even though it's not completely yarn related, it definitely has to do with my career. This here, Wrapped in Crochet, is the first book that I ever made. I'm not sure if it's still in print or not. It might be. If not, it's slowly making its way out, I believe. It'll always be available as an ebook, but I'm not sure if it's still in print for a printed book. This came out in 2006 or 2007. Lots of fun projects in there. Lots of accessories and scarves with texture and some lace. Very proud, very exciting. I will never forget the first time an advance copy came to my house of this book. I could barely wrap my head around the idea that I was an author. Something I always dreamed to be. Never thought it would be how-to books, but super glad to be an author nonetheless. This, let's see, where's that one? This was my first knitting book, which I think was book number 3, Knitting Rhapsody. Another really fun book to make. Lots of texture in this one. There's wraps. There's no sweaters in this one. This one's all unsized pieces. This one has wraps and scarves, and really tried to develop interesting textures and interesting construction styles that weren't generally seen at that time. So I was really proud of just the originality of the thought process behind these projects. Really proud of it. One of the pieces in here called the Tree of Life Ruana, I did intarsia for the bottom portion of the tree in the back, and then embroidery to create the spirals. I suppose you could find it on Ravelry if you wanted to see it, but it was so beautiful, and it was inspired by a photo that or print of an art print that I love of the Tree of Life, and just had lots of spirals in it, and just it was this stockinette tree on a seed stitch background. It was absolutely gorgeous. Unfortunately, I sold it or gave it away at one point. At some point, I always end up giving away my samples because there's only so much room to keep things, but definitely one that I wish I would have kept now. Anyway, at least I've got the photos still. Okay, we'll put this one here. This is from Vogue Knitting Magazine. Not sure if you can see the texture in there. I created a motif project in knitting that was very much inspired by crochet motifs, like this the middle motif in the sweater. Don't know if you can see it with the lights. Let me bring it down. The middle motif is a diamond, and then that diamond is cut in half to create the side motifs. It's a very unusual technique for knitting a sweater. I was very proud of it because sometimes conceptually things make a lot of sense in my brain, but it doesn't mean that they necessarily apply to garments, let alone garments that fit, let alone garments that fit and look pretty. So this was one of the success stories, and I'm really proud of it. So glad to put this on my collage. Good morning, Veronica. Good morning, Chris. Thank you so much for joining. For those of you just joining, this is my new studio space I was inspired by my trip to Austin to visit the knit show with Vicki Howell, and was so inspired by the big, beautiful set that they had for the show that I thought it was time to update my set. And so I created this really cozy place to sit and chat for Facebook Live, for YouTube Live, and maybe do some larger scale how-to projects. And then over here, which I'll show you in another video, is where I'm setting up a stand-up table to do how-to videos at the table and then to do overhead shots at the same table. And so that will be next. But for today, I'm making this collage of all of my favorite book covers, magazine covers, and favorite projects that I've designed over the years of my 14-year career now. Crazy. That's a long time. Anyway, so that's what I'm working on today, and just sharing with you some of the stories or ideas or just little tidbits of the projects as we go. Here's one of my favorite magazine covers. This was Interweave Crochet last summer, and they put my beautiful mermaid blanket on the cover. I have to cut this one down. Hi Joan, thank you for joining me this morning. Oh, thank you. I love this color. I love wearing green. I had shorts this color when I was a teenager, and I've missed them ever. No, it was green Madras shorts and a green sleeveless cotton knit sweater that was in this color, and I have a picture of it with me sitting at my piano when I was, I don't know, 15 years old, and I loved the color back then, and this is the first time I've seen this color in a shirt since, so I just recently bought it, and brings back lots of memories of that shirt, and I love it. Okay, looking for contrast here. I think it's too light to put next to that one. We'll go here. Probably end up tightening these up because I think I now have too many photos for up there. I don't know, we'll see. Oh, this is a fun one. I printed this one because this was the first time I ever did a full page ad in a magazine. When I found out that I was going to be on the cover of Interweave Crochet magazine last summer, I paid for a full page back cover, outside back cover of the magazine, and I'm so proud of it. Spent a lot of money on it, but was really proud to be featured that way, cover to cover, front and back cover. I even had 4 projects in the magazine, which was awesome. But I wanted to remember this ad because it was the biggest ad that I have ever designed and paid for. Let's see, we'll put it right next to the magazine cover since they aren't same color but definitely related. So I thought that'll be fun to put together. All right, we've got, oh, this is the coloring book that I designed and self-published. I did this one shortly, I can't remember if it was before or after I designed the quilting fabric collection, but it was around that same time when I was doing a lot of drawing. I would like to get back to it now, and I just haven't carved out the time, but in some projects that are upcoming with my Redbubble shop, which is a place where I upload my artwork and it gets turned into beautiful scarves or bags and all sorts of fun stuff. I want to put in some more designs there, so I will definitely be getting back to the drawing again. Just need to carve out the time for it. Let's see who's here. Hi Judy, hi Rona, thank you for joining. All right, I want to make sure that, looks like we're going to run out of space for yarn projects because there's so many. I want to get all the covers up there for sure. So we'll just go back to book covers. This is Crochet So Lovely, which was kind of, it wasn't a straight up sequel, but it was definitely a follow-up to Crochet So Fine. They were not back to back. I want to say I wrote 4 books in between them, but this book is also done with lots of beautiful fine yarns. Lots of projects that were scarves, shawls, lace, but there are garments as well in here. Lots of really, really pretty things. Okay, I'll get this one. Oh, dark under light. This is my most recent book, Crochet So Lovely. I'm sorry, Continuous Crochet. Oh, that reminds me, there is a book missing. I did not print Seamless Crochet. So I will be making another trip to the photo store. I've already been twice. But that's how it goes when you're working on a project as you go. You think of things as you go. So this was, I think this was the first book that features my yarns. Be So Fine and Be So Sporty are both featured in here. Be So Sporty is a beautiful textured, herringbone textured scarf that has gorgeous topaz buttons on it. And Be So Fine is featured with a shrug, a one ball shrug. Super pretty. Love the photography in this book. I was able to talk with the editors after making everything and writing everything and sending it to them. And we talked a lot about styling, and they said, what do you think of an outdoorsy, natural, boho chic look for the book with girls that have their hair in braids and long flowy curls, lots of bright colors and not lots of natural backgrounds? And I was like, yeah. I couldn't say yes fast enough. It was like, you're speaking my language. Okay, that sounds great. And so now if you have the book, go back and look, and you'll see that the photography is a lot different in this book than my other books, in the fact that it's mostly outdoor photography. And the girls, a lot of them have braids, just like I love to wear. So I thought that was super fun. I'm going to put this one up. Okay, and this one, Knitting Outside the Swatch, was, oh, Rona, thank you so much. This one was my second knitting book, and a book that has a reference section as well as pattern section. And I really came at this from, I think, a very unique perspective. I decided to make knit motifs and teach you how to join them as you go. So for example, this hat is motifs that are completely knit, completely joined as you go. There's no sewing, there's no crochet, it's all knitting. And all of the projects are like that in this book. So there's a section of motifs, and then there's a section of patterns, and honestly, you could make any pattern with any of those motifs and make so many gorgeous lacy and motify kind of knitting projects. I'm really, really proud of this one. I say that all the time though, don't I? I say I'm really proud of them, but I am. So, that's okay. Okay. Then I've got 2 more covers here, and then if we have room for any of the yarn ones. This is Beginner's Guide to Knitting in the Round. It's a book that was published by Leisure Arts, still available. I'm pretty sure almost all of these are still available, except for maybe 1 or 2. But this one is a beginner's guide to knitting in the round, so it's lots of easy projects to teach someone who's never knit in the round and only worked in rows how to pick up that technique without getting too crazy and, you know, trying to learn so many things at one time. Lots of cute projects in there. Definitely still available for sale. It's not very expensive either. Okay, makes a great gift. Actually, I think books are always great gifts. Okay, and one last magazine cover, and this was also Crochet Today? Yeah, Crochet Today magazine, and it's this gorgeous bag on the cover, which I would totally love to redo in Be So Brave yarn. I've got some new ideas for bags that I want to work on for fall right now. Some of them will be in Be So Brave, some of them will be in Be So Tender, but this was one of the, probably the only bag that made it on the cover of a magazine. Oh my gosh, and we are almost full. Look at that. All right, so I'll probably come back to this a little bit later today and see if, like, I think that could move up a little bit, or make sure that these lines aren't all straight like that. I want it to be more like a bricklayer offset, so I'll probably end up fidgeting a little bit. If I have room for some of these other ones, I'll definitely add them, or take something away, who knows yet, but it needs a little zhuzhing for sure. Oh, thank you, Veronica. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, I think this is going to work. Oh, I'm looking at it on the screen here, and I do really like the texture on there too. So what's interesting is that you may not always know what it is in the background of the videos, but you will, now that you've watched this, you can appreciate what it actually is. Oh, how cute. So glad I went with luster matte photos instead of the glossy. I don't think you'd ever see them with the lights. Wow. Cool. All right. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Hope to get back in here and doing some how-to videos super soon. If you have any requests for videos, by all means, let me know. I am always open to suggestions. Let me see what's going on here. Oh, Veronica likes the shirt in the back. Thank you very much. That is a new pattern that will be coming out this week. This is done in Be So Serene yarn, which is my 100% organic cotton that I dye here in my studio. It ends up coming out in this beautiful semi-solid colorway. It's 100% made in the USA. Super cute. This was the first time I've made a larger size. I always used to make size 36 for sample garments, but because I wanted to wear this one, because organic cotton is one of my favorites to wear, I ended up making it in the size 44. So used a little more yarn, but it fits me, so that's the good news. And I hustled. This was the project that I took with me on the airplane to have something to work on in the downtime heading to Austin, because you start at the bottom on this sweater and work stockinette in the round. I knew that there was going to be a lot of opportunity to pick this up and knit as long as I could and then set it down quickly, because I wasn't counting or having to work a stitch pattern. It was just simply stockinette in the round. So it was perfect for travel and for green room and all the other oddball times that you have when you're traveling. And then once I got home, I did the garter stitch back yoke and then the garter stitch front yoke with this beautiful keyhole decorative opening for the chest. These lines mimic your collarbone, and then these I always thought were very similar to 3 petals of a 6-petal flower. Interesting backstory to that idea. These keyhole openings were inspired by an actress on Days of Our Lives years ago, and I had sketched this out, and I've done a couple versions of it since. And her top wasn't even knit or crocheted. It was just, you know, like that jersey knit fabric, but there were these 3 holes cut out of it, and I'll never forget seeing it. I can't remember what the character's name is anymore, but it was Days of Our Lives for sure, and she had short blonde hair, and she was one of the taller girls. I can't remember. Anyway, I looked at her top, and I was like, that is so cool. I love the cutouts. And I realized, oh my gosh, that's just like giant buttonholes. I just need to figure out how to make them go this way and that way, and I can knit that. So I will always remember that when I look at that top, and I love that something so random and not knit inspired me to do that. So anyway, hi Veronica, hi Christy, thank you so much. I am going to work on shipping for orders now. Got some orders that came in from last night, so I need to get shipping done before I head to the post office and figure out dinner still. Haven't decided what I'm making. Most likely salmon, but I'm more focused on anti-inflammatory foods this week. Marlon's back to competing this weekend at a tournament, so want to keep him as healthy as possible. But thank you so much to everybody who joined me today. I appreciate you taking the time out to watch me play with my new studio space. I hope you like it, and I hope to see you soon. Bye! Please subscribe to my channel for more videos.